Thank you, Vikas, for giving this opportunity to speak to our viewers.
Our pleasure.
First of all, congratulations. You
Thank you.
have, built up a fantastic platform,
Thank you.
and we will be, sharing some of your highlights, some of your journey so far, which I think will be able to enlighten your investors. So, the first question that comes to all of us, Vikas, why AIF PMS? Why did you start AIF PMS?
Yeah, so thank you, Romit, for giving us an opportunity. So, look, I've spent about almost 20 years in the industry. And after spending 20 years in the industry, what I've realized over a period of time is that, you need to have a proper framework, whether you choose mutual fund as a vehicle or PMS as a vehicle and AIF as a vehicle. Particularly in this industry, what was my observation is that AIF and PMS industry is highly scattered. And therefore, I felt that most of the investors, they want to utilize the opportunity and explore alternate investment opportunities. But unfortunately, due to either the lack of awareness or a lack of confidence or a limited access to the data, they are not able to invest, or they are finding it little difficult to explore this category of investing. So what I felt after spending 20 years is that since the industry is so scattered, why not I would bring all the stakeholders on a platform where the investor community as a whole can come in, extract the data points exactly on the product lines, and analyze the data and then invest instead of just investing because their friends are recommending or their neighbors are recommending. So therefore, I thought I'd build an ecosystem around which will enable investor community as a whole to take the right decision when it comes to investing in alternate investment funds and portfolio management services.
And that is how AIF PMS.
This is how we start.
Brilliant. So, Vikas, that's a very interesting perspective that you gave, because what you said is very true, that a lot of times clients do invest hearing their friends. So, because again, very straight questions, which I think can benefit all the viewers. What are your top 3 learnings out of your vast experience that you have in this industry? If you have to, lay down those 3 points, what are your top 3 learnings that you want to convey to your investors or whoever is watching this?
So the first and the biggest learning of while building up AIF PMS is one of the things which even I was surprised when I got to learn this, is that there are good quality boutique portfolio managers available in India. There is no doubt of talent. Believe me, I can give you a couple of examples as well. They are boutique in nature, not by default but by design. So they want to stick to their own philosophy, and they are really investment-led organization and not a sales-driven organization. So what happens in developed economy, where your alternate investment has become almost 50% of the overall market share, or those marquee portfolio managers of the world. So there the investments takes place based on the portfolio quality and based on the performance, and not by the brand name. But unfortunately in India, the investment is done based on the brand name. Now this was good when the industry was growing. But as the industry has grown up, as an economy we are growing, and we've reached to a level where we can call ourselves as one of the fastest developing economies in the world, I think it is very, very important that all HNI investors should understand the differentiation between investing by the brand name or investing by design, by having a scientific approach towards it. And look, we are a data-driven organization. So we follow the methodology very, very strictly in our organization. So therefore, as a result of that, any investor, if they want to know anything about alternate investment and portfolio management services or any particular product, our platform enables him to extract the exact details.
That's extremely interesting. So AIFPMS.com is a one-stop shop for all PMS and AIF based.
That's right.
Very, very unique. So, we keeps on hearing about 3 high framework in AIF PMS that sets you apart from the rest of the crowd. Because can you just elaborate further on this 3 high framework?
So see, Romit, I've been investing in my own money in PMS for almost a decade now, more than a decade. I remember my first PMS investment happened in 2008 when I used to work for HSBC. And what I realized over a period of time is that, you know, you need to have a sort of framework in place. Now, there could be different frameworks and there's nothing right and wrong about it. At one point of time, when I made the mistake while investing, I felt that this particular style of investment is the best style. And 3 years down the line, I realized that I made a mistake. Oh. So therefore, you need to have a proper framework. So I and my elder brother both have been investing in PMS for almost a decade now. And after committing those mistakes, we learned from those mistakes and then came out with this framework called 3I's framework. Let me just take a minute to quickly tell you a little bit about 3I. So the 3I's framework, the first I is basically the style of the portfolio manager. Now what happens is that, suppose you are the investor and you're looking at 2 different PMSs and both of them follow a GARP methodology, which is growth at a reasonable price. As an investor, you think that the diversification is done. But when we look at technically, 70-80% of the stocks are common because they both follow a similar investment style. And therefore, we thought that we will emphasize and focus more on style of the portfolio manager. So as an investor, when you are looking at 2 different styles, because markets would not stick to one particular style, and it will have market is smarter than anybody else. It will have its own roller and coaster, right? So what we thought is first I is investment style. So we spend 60-70% of our time of our organization. We have a product team sitting in Pune, and their full-time job is to evaluate whether this style is matching with another style or not. If not, then we need to have a proposition where we need to have a different style of the portfolio. Then it becomes a deadly combination. Suppose today large cap is doing well, tomorrow mid cap will do well, day after tomorrow small cap will do well. So you need to have a different style of the portfolio manager who can fit into your overall thing. So if A is not doing well, the B will take care of the overall family. So the style is matters the most today. The second I is, which is in the portfolio, is the quality of the portfolio, the investment portfolio. Now, when I say quality, essentially quality is very subjective term, and people call it Yes Bank as one of the quality stocks. So I joke on their wisdom sometimes. Because we have that expertise, we go and evaluate the quality of the portfolio. We look at the first thing that we look at is what is the earnings of the portfolio at an aggregate level. Then the second parameter we look at is what kind of ROE the company, so companies of the underlying company has. Then we look at whether these companies are debt free or they are debt free. And then after analyzing, because I spent 20 years in the industry, I do understand. In the long run, what I learned is fundamentally, which is universally accepted, is you make as much money in the stock market as company makes. And therefore, earning plays very, very important. So we see to it that portfolio should have good amount of earnings or in line with what is the return which is expected from the portfolio.
It's very interesting.
So that's the second one. Now, there are portfolio managers. When they come on CNBC, they speak something else. But when you look at their portfolio, you'll find Yes Banks of the world. And for an investor, it becomes extremely difficult to track these investments. So therefore, we have a product team sitting. We have a complete ecosystem. We have a complete methodology of looking at. So we go to an extent that we check the complete holdings of the portfolio since inception of the portfolio strategy. So then you get to know how many calls have been made and how many calls have gone right, how many calls have gone wrong. And basis that you can really get to know whether these are really high conviction ideas that PMS manager is running, or he's running like a trading machine where he's buying whatever he wants to buy and coming out. So that's very, very
Very interesting.
And the third I is basically investment performance. While it is an outcome and you really can't have control over it, but what we essentially examine and evaluate is how consistent the performance is. Because what investors do not like is the first thing for them is to protect their wealth, which they have on for over a period of time, which I'm sure they don't want to take a risk on that. We see to it that one, the capital is protected. Therefore, we see to it that how consistent the performance is. And what we look at is today you are in Q1, tomorrow you are in Q4, then you are in Q3. That's not the
Consistency.
portfolio manager we like. So we
Performance
want to
consistency.
work with those portfolio managers who follow the consistency in their performance.
So because that's very interesting perspective that you gave it to us. So you mean the first I is investment style, the second is the investment quality, and third is investment performance.
Absolutely.
And that is very unique. And so that is really a super parameter to identify. Because very straight questions. Now we see lot of emergence. We talks about PMS, we talks about mutual funds. Why do you think an investor who has the capability to put 50 lakhs in a PMS that he should go for a PMS? Why not that he should go for a direct? What is your advice to those investors that they should? Why do they need to go to PMS as an investment route?
See, Romit, here I would say that it is absolutely subjective to the capability of investor. Well, at a regulatory level, if you look at, there are three vehicles which is well defined by the regulator. One is your mutual fund, and mutual funds are here. And there's no denying of the fact that it brings about almost 2 decades of track record on the table, where they end up delivering 16, 15, 16%.
That's commendable.
So that they've done great job. But if you are an HNI investor, you're looking at enhancing your return, you need to have a portfolio manager to whom you give the mandate to. And he would, based on the research capabilities, the portfolio manager would decide what stock to buy and which stock to buy and which stock to sell. Number one. Number two is, I don't have any favorites as such. I have mutual funds also in my portfolio. I have some direct equity. But at one point of time, you need to have a professional manager. You need to have professional approach towards your portfolio. And there are portfolio managers in India. You will not believe they have more than a decade of experience and track record where they outperform the benchmark significantly. I would say that in the tune of 10 to 11% outperformance alpha that I'm talking about on 11 long years of track record. When I looked at how did they manage to deliver, one of the interesting things which came to my learning is that stocks which are trading at below 3,000 crores of market cap, where mutual fund guys find it extremely difficult to enter into because they don't find liquidity and their compliance will not allow them to invest. These portfolio managers, because they have their own first-hand research capabilities, they would identify those emerging stars at an early stage of their growth curve and ride through the growth journey.
Oh, that's a really interesting.
And that is where the real definition of PMS comes in, where they would identify those companies at an early stage of their growth curve. Not to forget that Bajaj Finance was first identified by PMS manager. Page Industry was first identified by PMS manager. And then mutual fund guys started investing.
Then,
The market
and then the history was. Because we see a lot of wealth management outfits today. As a founder and promoter of AIF PMS, what are the services or unique service that you offer to your clients through your platform?
See, one of the things which, why I wanted to build this platform, thanks for asking this question, very important is, what is PMS? PMS is a personalized professional approach, but personalized services, portfolio management services. But unfortunately, it was sold like a mutual fund, commodity products. That's where we want to differentiate ourselves. We see to it that both the parties, before getting married to each other, should meet each other, should evaluate each other, should see to it that whether their thoughts are getting aligned with each other or not. Because 80% or if you look at the data and analyze, 80% of the time investor redeems money because their thought process does not get aligned with the thought process of the portfolio. And therefore, we thought we'll create an ecosystem where we will become an interface between the client and the portfolio manager and see to it that both the parties meets with each other, gets aligned with each other's thought process before making the investment. So therefore, the chances of making accident is almost negligible. So we see to it that first we analyze the risk appetite of the client, and then once we decide that this category of investment, suppose you are a conservative investor and you are looking at large cap renewals, I would make you meet the quality of
So it's
portfolio
truly
managers.
personalized in real sense.
Absolutely.
That's really interesting.
So we are a data-driven.
So at AIF PMS are not sold as a commodity, but it is rather sold as a personalized service towards wealth creation. Very interesting. So, Vikas, what is your message to the HNI community before we wrap up this? Because we see a lot of exciting stories around India growth story. We are seeing a lot of investors moving into this industry. Correct?
Yeah, what you rightly mentioned, Romit, if you look at the, let me just give you some data points. So if you look at the industry growth, 2012 was a time when SEBI intervened and shaped up this alternate investment industry. Otherwise, people used to call it investment banking, some used to call it venture capital, etc., etc. Now, if you look at the size of the industry, the PMS industry as a whole is about 1,10,000 crores, which is one of the fastest growing segment in India today. If you look at the AIF, which is about 90,000 crores.
That's so large.
Both put together is about 2 lakhs. And I have no doubt in my mind that 10 years down the line, this category will emerge as one of the largest categories. And if you look at the developed countries, again, the kind of learnings that I have had is that those developed countries have almost 45-50% of their investments in alternate investments or portfolio management services. So now as an economy, we are headed towards $5 trillion economy as our Honorable Prime Minister talks about it. And because there are new good quality portfolio managers entering in now, the industry is becoming even more structured. And thanks to the regulator for shaping up this industry further and bringing about the similar sort of regulations what you follow as a mutual fund industry.
Very nice.
And therefore, this industry, this category, investors have realized that if they want to beat the benchmark significantly, they need to hire a professional portfolio managers who can customize the portfolio based on the requirement of the client and continue to beat the benchmark significantly.
So that is a very interesting perspective because, and I think all of us who are watching this particular conversations take a very serious note of this because investing is not very easy. It seems easy, but the dynamic is constantly changing, and you need a holding hand. That is where AIF PMS offers a customized and a personalized services. Thank you, Vikas. It was a wonderful discussions, and I hope all the viewers gets a valuable insight and they take a right informative decisions while taking an investment.
Thank you, Romit. It was always a pleasure speaking
Thank you,
with you.
Vikas.
Thank you for the opportunity. My regards to AKTA Wealth. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.